Hi everyone, so I was talking about like memories of my perspective on the subject of abortion. Let's call it like that. Again, it's kind of weird because like I know that I didn't know this word, but I knew kind of, I guess, what behind of it kind of means. Just like the idea of like having a baby or not. Okay, so I just thought like, okay, what do I think of it right now? I don't know why I'm laughing, honestly. But it's very obviously complex subject, I guess. I don't know, I'm honestly kind of curious myself what I'm going to say, because I think about things a lot like in my head, but then once it's time to kind of like say something, sometimes it's just like, it doesn't always kind of come out the same way for a reason. I don't know, so I said in those other videos, like the memories. And right now, honestly, I feel like there's still so much certain concepts and things like that within myself that are not really belonging to me in a way. Like I have certain perspective of something, and then just kind of realize, like, why do I even think like that? Like, and again, that's kind of what I said in the other video, that I just felt like I kind of lost a lot of like my own meanings about certain things, and this is one of the reasons why I feel kind of unhappy sometimes. Because just like, I don't know, because like actually like the meaning and how you interpret things, and or maybe just like what the kind of meaning about something, that's kind of almost like in a way kind of like a key in a way to like life itself. Like, there can be one specific situation, kind of like some people, I guess, like celebrate that somebody's dying, and then somebody will cry, it's just like the power of like how you kind of view something, even though it might be something kind of the same. I know everything is always kind of unique. I like to kind of think about it like that, but it's just kind of like such a like important thing about like how you kind of guess in your head interpret this sort of things. And I feel like I lost a lot of my own interpretations, just kind of like making me upset. I try to kind of consistently kind of remember. But okay, I guess this subject, more kind of like, I guess, not so just like, talking about it as a memory or something, but just kind of like more, I guess, realistically. But then again, that's like the thing, like, I like to have like the open window of like knowing in a way that I know that I don't know everything, and I say that there's like this quote, right? But just like in the sense of like, this is also kind of what makes me happy, to have that kind of space in my life to be able to kind of live according to that also. But like, I don't know what this whole world is. I don't know what life is. I don't know like why I was creating the way that I was. Like why do I have like that kind of hair or something? Or why do I look like that? Why is this whole like world like that, and things like that? So, and I feel like a lot of things socially, certain decisions and stuff like that, are based on kind of like some kind of concept that somebody knows strictly what all those answers are, in a way that I like to keep them really open, because I feel like that's actually the truth that nobody really knows. We can, just kind of leave it like that. Okay, so this subject, as I said, like, sorry, my neighbors got distracted. So, okay, what do I think about this subject right now? I'm scared to talk about it because of, like, what people made it to be as, but personally, like, there's certain things that I was kind of thinking about, like, and, there's so much, maybe a general, I should start, and that a general, reading myself, I feel like a lot of, like, problems in society, and again, I'm talking just, like, obviously, theoretically, things like that, so, don't, whatever, but I feel like just, like, intuitively or something, that a lot of, like, problems are kind of always trying to be solved, not in the root cause of it. So kind of what it does is to like try to fix some problem, but the fact that it's even existing, this specific problem, is so much more complex, and it's kind of like, you know, the root cause is like way, it's kind of like, that's like my hand is like the so-called problem, and this is like the roots of it or something. People kind of try to fix those parts, not realizing that the root of those problems are emanating from such a different place. They're so much more complex and things like that. And I feel like you can fix and try to fix all those problems like that, but just gonna change the metaphorical kind of faces. So that's kind of how I feel about a lot of things. So maybe I'll just kind of start from like the whole kind of aspect that I don't quite understand is kind of weird to me. This whole kind of thing of like, and I know it's complicated. Again, I'm just talking, you know, from like air in a way, right? But I just kind of feel like I don't like this whole kind of concept of like people, I don't know if it's called democracy. I'm scared to use certain words because I always like kind of find that I have like different definitions of certain words, but I don't like the concept of like certain people kind of deciding on what is okay to do and not to do. And I also feel like it's kind of in a way, not to like offend anyone or use certain like not nice words or whatever, but like I think it's just kind of not healthy, maybe like that thing to do, because like we kind of live in a reality, I guess, where like, you know, you can, certain people will decide that like, oh, like you can do that or whatever, but like the same people that decided that, oh, certain subject or something is that's not how to do it, and we need to do it in that kind of way as like people, and you know, whatever, votes or whatever, things like that. And it's kind of unhealthy in a way that like a lot of those people that voted certain way probably will not ever meet ever in your entire life. And you know, like you're born here and you take yourself with yourself when you die. It's like, it's just kind of weird. I think it's just kind of unhealthy like way to just kind of like have impact on people that you don't even have no zero idea about who they are, their existence. It's just kind of weird, right? Like, just, I don't know, it's kind of, you know, weird, like kind of unhealthy, right? Like, why should I, maybe just like from my perspective, decide about what is good or bad, and why is that supposed to be something that dictates somebody's lives that I don't even know of? And probably maybe I would change my opinion if I would know that person, you know, and, you know, get to know them in depth and things like that. So it's really kind of weird, kind of whole structure within itself, and you can apply to that a lot of different social issues, right? So yeah, I don't know if I should like leave it like that or not. Okay, maybe I'll just like dwell into it. So when it comes like, I think I started to talk about like in this video already about abortion, I think, right? So I feel like this subject within itself is kind of very touchy, but also it's touchy because it kind of is about the idea of like, you know, death in life, but also it's touchy because somebody has certain already opinion about what that is and what it might be. It's like, I guess, socially or just like generally speaking, I guess most people say that they don't know what that is, but then again, we don't know what it is. But if we, you know, we kind of act as like we would know what it is in a way, if that makes sense. So I guess like that's why this subject is touchy, but it's touchy because there's like, again, this kind of hidden, it's touchy because, but it's like hidden meaning onto why it's so touchy. Like you have to have some kind of belief already and some kind of perspective, I guess, about idea about like what that is. And since nobody really knows, then how can it be touchy? You know what I mean? But so I feel like life is also full of those kind of unknowns, but at the end it's like, you know, you have to deal with your own life and things like that. So again, it's this whole weird concept of like people kind of trying to dictate such, you know, individual lives. And I also feel like it kind of blocks the idea of like something new to grow. since we all kind of try to clinch so much to some like concept that we have, it's just there. I feel like as a society we just do not allow a lot of growth of like new things to happen because of that. But yeah, I feel like abortion is also like such a very like, I guess, personal, intimate kind of subject, and I feel like it's something when it comes to like this, it's very kind of personal because it kind of attaches to you, like obviously the partner, because it's also kind of like weird that I guess I have to say it, and but it's just like obviously like generally speaking, theoretically and stuff like that. I know that like certain solutions to certain problems are already made up, and presented to people, and then you just kind of choose what it's like at best, to kind of support, you know what I mean? Like even if you don't agree, sometimes like, you have to kind of guess. But then again, I don't know, everyone thinks about things like that differently. But so just I'm kind of talking more kind of like openly, theoretically, right? Where I feel like a lot of that is really rare in society, but maybe I'm just like running across people who just aren't doing that, whatever. And I think I lost the track. So yeah, I feel like, right, like this whole subject of like abortion should be, I don't understand why it's more kind of pushed upon women only, because like it's an idea of like having a child, and you can have a child only when two people, let's go like that meet each other, right? So in my opinion, that should be, and it is, it's not even that it should be, in my opinion, that's a problem, well, to call it like that, it's a subject that correlates just as equally, in my opinion, to both sides, so like women and men. So it's also kind of weird how that just kind of or was kind of pushed more about on the women's side. It's really kind of weird to me. Like clearly you need to know women itself to, you know what I mean? Like you need men and women to even this whole discussion about having a child and then abortion, things like that to exist. So again, it's kind of weird within that sense. But I feel like it's very like personal thing, and when it comes to maybe like, I'm kind of mixing a lot of things. I guess I'm also kind of stressing a little bit or something. But it's kind of like when it comes to like the aspect of death, right? What I just said and things like that, like I guess abortion in a way, and of course like I always would like to keep like an open window to grow and learn. So what I say maybe it's not what I always think, right? We learn every single day, or at least I try to like learn and things like that. And like life impacts us like every single moment. So yeah, like obviously abortion within the sense of like death, I think that subject is kind of like different within the way, I feel like this video would be long, but it's kind of like it's not that kind of same death, at least as far as I was like thinking about the subject. It's not like somebody will go out and shoot, kill like so-called random people in the streets and impact people's lives that they do not even know, right? And that's kind of one presentation of that. But abortion is kind of like this is hard subject, but like what I try to kind of express is that like, and again it's like difficult even for me to think, because like I guess I try to operate with this kind of like concept of that society kind of has of like that dad is this and that. So again, like but what I'm trying to say is that like having like your own child or not having your child, it's something that impacts you specifically. Like it's your family, the people closest to you. Like what I mean? This kind of decision impacts the people that you actually know and are, I guess, closest to you. But when somebody just like randomly shoots someone, it's kind of like different in that sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I just kind of try to kind of like attach the idea that like probably doesn't make sense to people, but it's kind of like what I mean. Like when we talk about the subject of death and killing someone, it's like it's different within that sense that, somebody who just gonna kill somebody randomly and things like that, that has like an impact on people like around him that you don't know, that aren't close to you. That's, I guess, kind of what I'm trying to say, is that like, like obviously people lose their, children, and just in like natural like ways, and it's also like very dramatic and things like that. But like, it's just kind of like this subject of death is more, when it comes to abortion, it's more kind of like attached to like your closest people. So I guess like that's the kind of the difference when it comes to like the idea of death. It's a very difficult subject because like, but then again, as I said, it's difficult because people have a certain idea about that, and I don't know what that is, honestly. I don't know what this life is, but obviously, I guess I'm not like, I don't think it's cool that, okay, whatever. Sorry, I get distracted by neighbors. Okay, so, yeah, it's a difficult subject, but, yeah, I mean, I don't know, again, going back, I do this original, wow, they're shouting, I'm scared. Trying to like kind of remember like my perspective in that way as much about like what kind of society taught me, and also like that's the thing that I feel like, again, assuming that history is really real and things like that, it's also just kind of like within that aspect also kind of weird that everything, in my opinion, what we believe in, how we live as people, is not going to be how it's going to be in the future, just as it was not like that in the past. So it's also this kind of like unfair thing of like, if somebody wants to have abortion or something, right, or like even like other things that are socially unaccepted or something, it's kind of, I guess, unfair that like we as individuals and that level of like humanity growth or whatever have to pay individually, in the sense of like not being able to make certain decisions for ourselves. Meanwhile, the same decision might have been, accepted in past or in future, so that's also the kind of unfair thing, I think, which makes sense. And also like those people who are against something, or, and since I'm kind of talking about abortion, but you can kind of apply that, I guess, to like different certain things, right? But I would just kind of operate, I guess, more about like this subject, because it's just kind of was kind of pushing into today in my head, this subject. So yeah, so even like people who are like against like it, right, are those people who don't want somebody to have like abortion, are those people gonna show up personally in somebody's life who wanted to have abortion but they couldn't have it? Are the same people who are saying that abortion is bad and this and that? And again, I don't know exactly how politics and like certain rules and things like that kind of work, like certain like things like that. So I'm just kind of talking generally, like, are those people who are like very like trying to be impactful on what is good and bad for other people's life, which is also, again, this crazy concept, because they probably do not even know this whole subject and this person's journey and this human being life, and they try to kind of make some kind of decisions for them. It's just insane within itself. But even like, okay, let's say, right, that somebody couldn't have abortion because people who didn't want other people to have abortion won or something. Are those same people gonna show up in those like families that couldn't have like abortion now became a family, or whatever, things like that, you know what I mean? Are they gonna like themselves personally show up in their life or give them money for going to a good doctor or whatever they need because of now this situation that they have found themselves in? So that's also like those kind of things that are just kind of weird to me, like people trying to play, honestly, gods in a way. But what will they really do for that person when this whole noise and chaos around this subject will go away? You know what I mean? So I guess like that's why it's so important, and I feel like I wish that society would go more into the direction of listening, learning to, or getting back the ability to listen to your body and just do yourself, because I feel like school kind of took it away. I used the laptop as a light, I guess, or whatever. And the screen from the laptop. So yeah, I feel like listening to your own self, do what is the best for you, because you're this one person who you're gonna have your entire life. And I'm just really sick and tired, honestly, of this whole concept of like this whole noises that society subjects kind of are created. I'm also kind of disappointed of like, where are like super smart people who, you know, would have some kind of opinion about that is kind of, you know, things like that. But this like whole noise and stuff like that, and then, you know, within this whole noise about certain things, you know, people act a certain way, there's emotions, stuff like that, but then you go back to your own normal life, and it's all of those emotions, stuff like gone, and it's like, you know, happens like cyclically and stuff like that, and you know what I mean, like, I don't know, but again, I don't know, I love to like learn and stuff like that, but yeah, certain things kind of, you know, create certain like emotions, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know what else that I said actually, and forgot to say, but I was thinking about when it comes to this subject. So I guess like my kind of conclusion is that I feel like individually people, I guess, assuming like everything that I said, is that it should be like an individual decision, I guess, what I was just kind of saying. I don't know, just, you know, the arguments that I kind of gave. Maybe I'll also say, like, obviously, I'm now, like, I don't know, like, I feel like, again, it just kind of correlates to, like, the idea of, like, you know, what, like, death is and stuff like that. Anyways, should I end it? I think I should end it on that note. Okay, so I'm wishing you everything well, and goodbye.